Okay, so we are on day 2 of 2.5, completing the square. So we're going to be doing some application problems with completing this square, just solving more quadratic. We're actually also going to graph a little bit because the whole point of completing the square was getting it into vertex form, right? So I had the vertex right there. So we're going to be graphing a little bit. So Libby plans to create a rectangular pasture enclosure. She has 340 meters of fencing available for the enclosure perimeter and wants to have an area of 6,000 meters squared. Evidently, when it transferred over, the square didn't say squared. What is the dimension? What dimensions should Libby use? So I have two things. I have area and perimeter, yes? Okay, so I have a rectangle. And what would the perimeter of that rectangle be?
340.
What?
340 meters.
Right, but like how would I find it? Sorry.
Oh,
So it's 340 meters because that's how much fence I have, right?
Yeah.
And what math, what equation would I use on the perimeter?
Divide by 4.
Didn't say it was a square.
Oh, yeah.
I'd have two lengths and two widths, yes?
Yeah.
So I'd have equals 2 lengths plus 2 widths. Just using what I got, right? What else do I know?
She wants the area to be 6,000 meters.
Okay, so 6,000 meters squared is my area. How do I find area?
Length times width.
Length times width. So I have two equations and I have two unknowns, so I'm going to have to use one equation to solve the other and then plug back in like we have done before. This kind of problem is never going to go away. Okay, so do you want to solve the perimeter and plug it into the area, or the area and plug it into the perimeter?
Do we have to use all the fence?
Yes.
Solve perimeter.
Perimeter. Okay. Now I could use area, and I did when I was doing it. I'm like, oh, I use area. Blah blah blah. What would be more difficult about doing area? I would have a division, right?
Yeah.
I'd have 6,000, and then I'd have to multiply by whatever, and just add another step. Okay. Do you guys want to solve for W, length or width?
Length.
Length. Okay. So if we're gonna solve this for length, how would I go about doing that?
I'd probably Google how to.
Multiply by the reciprocal.
I have an algebra problem, Tessa. I need to get L by itself. How would I start that process?
Subtract 2W.
Subtract 2W from both sides. So I have 340 minus 2W equals 2 length. Yes?
No.
Okay.
Then what?
Then
Oh, the only logical thing to do? Add 2W to both sides. Or not.
You're solving for what?
L.
L.
Can you divide my whole thing by 2?
Divide everything by 2. And that means everything, yes?
Even the divide sum.
So I get length equals 170 minus W.
Yeah.
Yes.
So now that I have length equals 170 times W, I can plug it in to that equation, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So then I will have one variable, which I can always solve an equation in terms of one variable, can't I? So we have 6,000 equals that L. No, what is L now? Sorry.
170 minus W.
Okay, so I'm going to put W first just because it's going to be a multiplication, yes?
Yeah.
And I don't like to put it behind it. Doesn't really matter, right? So what do I do now?
Distribute it.
Distribute it.
properly.
And now I have a quadratic equation, right?
You sure do.
And so now I should probably use completing the square since that's what I've been doing. Do you want to move? What do you want to do?
Divide it all by -1.
We got to get it on one side, yes? Has to be set equal to what?
So you could
Zero.
subtract 6,000 from both sides.
Okay, why wouldn't we just add the W squared?
No.
Anybody
Oh yeah,
else?
because we need a positive leading coefficient.
Yeah, anybody else with me on that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I'm
know.
gonna W squared and subtract 170. So I have W squared minus 170 W plus 6,000 equals 0. Now, I can factor that, yes. Nothing says I have to complete the square. You know any factors of 6,000 that are going to add to 170?
Yes.
Which is?
30 and 200.
Those don't add to 270.
Oh.
They subtract,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
but they don't add, do they?
And
No.
negative
So,
170.
Then you don't know the quadratic formula yet, so we probably have to complete the square, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so no different than any other problem, right?
Kick out the 6,000.
Take out the 6,000.
Would you get a different answer if your first step was just subtract 6,000 for both sides? And then like,
No, you'd have to factor out a -1.
no,
And then
like
you would
not
have
at the beginning, like once we get to that. Like at the beginning of completing the square. Like instead of just,
No, if you subtract, if you can complete the square not equal to 0, but instead of adding and subtracting, you have to do it. You have to add to both sides. Does that make sense?
yeah, because that's what I did on my
It's just-
homework and I got like the same answers up there.
Right.
But,
As long as you add it to both sides.
okay.
But I like to do the add and subtract because then you're in vertex form, and that's usually the point of this
Okay.
anyway. Okay, so now what?
And the 2 thing.
Then divide them at 170 divided by 2.
-170 divided by 2 squared.
85 squared is
So
7,000.
it's negative 85 squared,
Squared 7,225.
7,225.
Yay, math.
Okay, and so what over here?
7,225. Negative 7,000.
Well, it's already got
Okay,
the minus.
it's already got the minus.
Set that.
Okay, so now what?
W squared,
W squared minus
W minus 85.
W minus 85 squared
Minus.
minus
775.
What?
Wouldn't that be
775.
Wait.
Mhm.
Shouldn't it just be 1,225 minus 1,000?
let's do 25.
Subtracting.
Oh yeah, I did.
Okay,
I
what
did
were
the
you
other.
doing?
Okay, I just was confused.
I was making this an 8.
Oh,
I was
okay,
doing-
okay.
Okay, yes, you're right. So minus 1,225. I made it 8,000 in my head, like I did that one.
No.
Okay, so now that's kind of lopsided. So I still have to solve for W, so I have to add this over, yes?
Mhm.
Look at that. I did that on purpose.
Wait.
It's supposed to be negative.
I know, but I moved it to the other side. Now it's positive. I made my negative an equal.
Is that a plus?
What?
No,
Oh, you made it.
It was
equal,
a negative, and so I made it an equal.
is that a plus?
Okay, now what?
Okay. Square root.
W squared.
Square root. Okay. So this is square root. I know 25 goes in there, right?
Fine. Okay.
Yeah.
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 25 is a perfect square. So let's see. We got 25.
Times
25 times.
Well, you got $12, which quarters that would make 12 times 4 is 48. Yes.
Yeah.
And then 49. Because you had one more. What I just did. I was thinking money. Okay, what's the square root of 5? Or 25.
Five,
What's the square root of 49? 7. So the whole thing is
7 5.
35.
7 5.
7 5. I think you're working with 2.
5.7.
Okay, so now what?
Then you
And
add
the
85.
85 over.
Add the 85 over. Okay, so my width is 35 plus 85, so 120?
120.
or 50.
Yeah. Wait.
Wouldn't it be full?
Why wouldn't it?
Two?
Oh, yeah.
No,
It would be 50, right?
yeah.
Okay.
I'm guessing you gotta plug that.
So now I got two widths, right?
Yep.
So if I've got two widths, I need to plug them in and find the length. So, but can't I plug them in right here?
Yes.
Yes? So if my width is 120, my length is what?
30. What? 50.
50. If my width is 50, what is my length?
120.
120. So my dimensions are 120 by
150.
50. Now,
Yeah, not 150.
not 150, 50.
You knew what I meant.
I know. Okay, now is it always going to work at that? No.
No.
It's not always going to work out like that. But it just happened here. So the length or width, whatever way you want your rectangle to go, those are the dimensions you would have.
Okay.
Unless you like build a fence.
Yeah,
So-
why does she need numbers? Why can't she just build a fence? It's not that hard.
Why
You don't just start, that is not
Why?
how.
That's how my grandma does it. Okay.
So why do it at my
Okay.
Sandra's built.
Okay. So the relationship between time since a ball was thrown and the height can be modeled by the equation h equals 32t minus 16t squared plus 4. Okay, the minus is the gravity. Jaden, your phone needs to be away or it's fine. I've already taken 2 today.
Are we doing
Okay,
this?
where h is the height of the ball after t seconds, complete the square to find how long it will take the ball to reach the height of 20 feet.
So 20 equals 32 t minus 16 squared.
Okay, why is it 20?
Because it already gives you your height.
Because it wants when it's 20. If it wanted the ground, what would it be?
Zero.
Yes, sir.
Zero.
Didn't you reduce down those numbers?
Possibly, yes.
You forgot the squared.
Right. We don't want to just get rid of them that way. Okay, we will factor things out, but we don't want to just like completely get rid of it because if you do, like if I divided everything by 4, those numbers do and I can do all the same math and I would have all the same x-intercepts. But if I were to say, here's my vertex form and multiply it out, if I divided that 4 out, I would never get this equation back.
So the
Does
easy.
that make sense?
But then what was your rule about the 4? If you had a 4, then everything would be divisible.
No, we'll have to factor it. We will have to complete the square with it. So we need to complete the square, yes? Kale,
Subtract 20 from both sides so you can do the
can we
thing.
move everything this way?
Yes.
Oh, I just want to do that first, man.
Why would you subtract all of them?
Because right now.
Why
that's
not move this all this way?
Because that's a negative 16 t squared. Positive.
So then I would subtract 4 instead of 20.
I was getting there eventually.
I know. You could do that, and then you'd have to
Oh,
just
gosh.
factor out a negative.
Yeah.
So I have 16x squared minus 32t plus 16
Yeah.
equals 0.
Beat you to it.
Now what?
Okay,
Okay,
Why don't you just divide both sides by 0?
Yeah.
My 16. My
No.
16.
no, again, because you're never gonna get back to the original equation if you do it that way. You don't want to eliminate numbers when you're manipulating them unless you're solving. And we want to leave it there for now. Okay, so what do I have when I factor the 16 out of the first 2?
t squared minus 2t.
Plus 1.
Okay, so it's going to be negative 2 over 2 squared, so it is 1 and 1. And this all equals what? 0. So now I have 16 t
Minus 1 squared.
equals 0. Now I'm going to divide by 0. Because right now what I have is something that I could eventually get back to what I needed, if I needed to. But now I'm at the point of solving. So when I divide 0 by 16, I still get what?
0.
0.
Yeah.
0 divided by 16, 0.
Yeah.
So I get t minus 1 squared equals 0. Take the square root of 0 and I still have
0.
0. So t minus 1 equals 0.
Which would be plus t equals 1.
1, it takes the ball 1 second
1
to
second.
reach a height of 20 feet.
Okay, and so you need to finish. It takes the ball 1 second to reach the height of 20 feet.
1? That's fast.
20 feet is really high.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Dale.
That's my vertical.
You're funny.
Maybe 20 inches.
Hey guys, what's gravity?
Gravity, the
Don't know
force
that.
of.
What is the force of anybody in physics in here?
Fake?
It's
Why by
fake.
government?
32 feet per second squared. So taking 1 second is not.
Look,
What's our initial height?
Well, none of us are in physics, we're all in biology.
Oh, you're right. Oh, okay.
We
Yeah.
can take physics
Well,
until we
gravity
see
is
it.
negative 32
Wait a
feet per
second.
second.
Physics is
squared.
our senior
Go
year.
back.
oh, you think you're smart? Well, you are. Boom, roasted.
Quiet, why?
The initial height.
The initial height's 4.
4. Okay. So 4 feet. For a small person.
Okay, so write the equation negative 2x squared plus 10x plus 1 in vertex form and graph it. What is the minimum, the maximum? I want you to do the vertex, the axis of symmetry. I want you to do it all. Because you have a quiz coming up, yes? And you have a test that's going to have all this anyway, right?
No.
So, how do I write it in vertex form? What process do I use?
Oh, I want to write it.
REX, but then you
Factor.
C, but then you do the A, negative B
That's the
over
basic
A.
discipline.
Okay, what
Okay.
are we doing? What are we doing right now? What process? No, we are not.
Oil.
Completing the square. The whole point of completing the
Oh, we're
square.
writing a quadratic.
The whole point of completing the square is to put this in vertex form, correct?
Yeah, mine.
That's probably the only reason you will ever complete the square. You guys are not going to say, "Ooh, let me solve that with completing the square."
Why not?
You could, but you're probably going to use the quadratic formula because you use them more often. So I'm going to complete the square. So you complete the square.
Wow, Isaiah, why are you like this?
Why did you toss that
What?
like that?
Start. Complete the square.
Give me a second, I'm trying.
Wait, no, you can't factor. It's the 1.
Are you paying attention to that?
No. I mean, I haven't either, but. I have? Yes, I have.
Almost every problem we've done today has had a leading coefficient other than 1.
Oh. That's what she said.
What did she say?
No.
Austin, you're being recorded.
Good.
I didn't say anything naughty.
You said
Yeah.
something that's inappropriate to what you're doing.
I was telling you what you said.
Austin, do the problem.
Exactly. Brain. Okay.
Because she did it. D. thought they were trolling us. It has.
You would add 23.
Oh, I'm wrong. I'm wrong. Just a little.
Wouldn't it be like times 1/2?
I just forgot my negative two.
Well, now, why did you do that?
I think so.
Question. Ask it.
Like, I thought, I know how to do it, except I know lots of the fraction part.
So that you did the 5/2 squared,
We got 25/4.
then would you do it like, we did one other example like that, exact same one fraction, you took it times 1/2.
That's when I had it, when I had a fraction divided by 2. Because it was like a half divided by 2. So that would be a half times a half, which would be a 4.
Wait a second, how'd you get from 25/4 to 27?
Because
Add the
my
two.
2, yes,
Yeah.
my 2 is reduced. So it's 25/2.
Yeah.
So this is 2/2. So 25 and 2 is 27.
And then it wouldn't
Would
be
it-
positive, or
Why is it negative?
No, it's not.
should be
I fixed the 7 and I forgot to fix that. It's positive.
Oh, yeah.
Because when I initially did, I put -2, but I forgot, what am I bringing? A
Oh.
-2, right?
That's
So it would be plus. Okay, so -5/2 squared is what? 25/4, yes?
Yeah.
And this was -2 times 25/4. Negative and negative is a positive. 2 goes into 4 twice. So I have 25/2. 1 has to be changed into 2/2, yes? So 25 plus 2 is 27. Guys, fractions are not going anywhere. We gotta keep working at them.
Oh, I can't.
Okay, what's my vertex?
Your vertex is at 5/2, 27/2.
5/2, 27/2. What is my axis of symmetry?
X equals 5/2.
Min or max?
your minimum.
My minimum.
Minimum
is
X equals.
My
5/2.
minimum?
Well,
this
in the-
open,
in
up,
the
or
up
down?
there it says that.
Down.
oh the max.
Down.
It says max or min, but it's opening down, yes?
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a
Max.
max at x equals what?
X equals
One.
5/2. What is my domain?
All real numbers. X
All real
subset,
numbers,
all real
unless I were to put it in an application problem, right?
numbers.
Yeah.
Okay, my range,
X is less
Y.
than
Y.
says that
Y.
Y is
27 greater than
greater than
27 or 2. Well, Y is less
is it
than.
greater than or less than?
Y is less than.
Why is it less than?
Because I said so.
Because it goes what?
It goes down.
Down.
I just
So
did
Y
it
is
with the
less
number
than
of
equal
Y I said
to?
root.
27 halves. Is that all the stuff we did before?
Probably.
X-intercept.
One.
X-intercept, how do I find an X-intercept?
Put 0 and Y.
Plug 0 into this for Y, right? So I'm going to subtract the 27 halves over. Everyone okay with me just doing that right now?
I guess.
So I have negative 27 halves equals -2 x minus 5 halves.
Now take -2 times x and -2 times 5.
Nope. I have a squared on that. Order of operations tells me I have to square the quantity before I would distribute. Can't I just divide by -2?
Yeah,
Yes.
or
So dividing by -2 is the same as multiplying by what?
1/2.
1/2 or -1/2. So because if I did -1/2, right, they would reduce.
Yeah.
So -1/2. Now Ethan, this is where I was talking about the dividing by 2 is the same as multiplying by -1/2.
Yeah, I'm still lost though.
Okay, so a negative times a negative is a
Positive.
positive. And 2 times 2 is 4. So x minus 5 halves squared. Then what? Square root, right? You did problems like this in your assignment. You solved these, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So 27 is 3 cubed. Should we all know that? Yes, we should. So we can bring out 1 3 and leave 1 3 in. 1 3 out, 1 3 in.
I don't know.
27 is 9 times 3, yes?
Yes.
What is the square root of 9?
3.
3.
So 3 square root of 3 plus or minus over 2 equals x minus 5 halves. Nothing different than you did in the 2 problems that had fractions yesterday. Nothing different. Now what?
Add 5 over 2.
Add 5 over 2. So 5 over 2 plus or minus 3 square root of 3 over 2 equals x.
Yeah.
So that would be 5 plus 3 square root of 3 all over 2 comma 0 and 5 what? Minus 3 square root of 3 all over 2 0. Like we all know what those are, but are those the x-intercepts? Yes. Okay. That's what they are. I'm not asking you what value that is, am I? I'm not asking you if that's 2.73. I'm just, what is it? It's right there. Okay. What is my y-intercept? So this is my x-intercept, yes? What is my y-intercept? How do I find any y-intercept? Plug 0 in for x, yes? So it would be 0 plus 0 plus 1, so it would be 0, 1. So graphing this thing is going to be pretty ugly, right? Okay, that would be what, 2.5? And 1, 3, 13.5? And I go through 1, right?
Where was the one?
Right here.
Yeah. Where was the one on the equation?
In the original.
In the original question.
Oh.
That should be 14 and a half by dot. Okay, now, what I sketched was a rough estimate of what I got, correct?
Yeah.
I didn't even attempt to do 5 minus the square root of 3, or 5 minus 3 square root of 3, did I? Okay. But there's a rough estimate. I'm really worried that you can find the x-intercept, the y-intercept, the vertical asymptote, not the vertical asymptote, vertex, the axis of symmetry, all that stuff, because that's the stuff we've been doing since 2.1, right? So we need to keep being able to do that stuff. So if you can complete the square, get over the fractions. Okay, it says write it in vertex form and graph it. So 3x squared minus 9x plus 7. How about we just complete the square and see if we can accomplish that, right? Why am I completing the square? In what form?
together, the vertex one.
Already did it wrong.
How can you do it right, Austin? You have to do first.
Yeah,
Factor out what? The 3. Only the first 2, right?
because someone is getting kicked out.
Right.
We're gonna get minus 3 on the outside. Or just the
It'd just be 3. The 3 is positive. You only do a negative if it's a negative.
Hey, the first two numbers
I think
right.
he was talking on the other side.
Oh, over here. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be always minus and then just 3.
Someone did that right.
minus 3. And we'll put that. The negative
Talk to yourself.
And yes, you're going to have fractions again.
Yeah.
Guys, there are more fractions in the world
No.
than nice round numbers.
Yeah.
And-
I don't wanna deal
Is
with
I
there
don't
more
care.
fractions in the world than human?
Since they're infinite.
Well,
and
then
we
I
all
don't wanna be in the fractions.
Technically, well,
What's this talking about?
technically we are. We can keep making copies.
I hope you fall.
It's fine.
Yeah, I got totally lost on the second part of the second part,
What?
like the one part.
I don't wanna look up yet.
Okay,
I'm scared.
So
Hey,
this doesn't reduce,
here's my
right?
house.
This
Yeah.
doesn't reduce, so it's just over 4. So this is going to be 28 over 4.
I did that. But then
And 3 times 9 is 27.
this.
How did you get 9 over 4?
Because
Cause she
It's-
did it.
Negative 3 over 2 squared.
Okay.
It's 9 over 4.
Negative
Negative
3
3
times
divided by
negative
2.
3 is 9. 2 times 2 is 4.
Okay, but that's not even. I'm not going to do a decimal.
1.5.
Okay, do you want to square 1.5 or do you want to square 9 and 4?
1.5 times 1.5.
What is it? Off the top of your head.
So 15 times
Who
2.
knows?
2.25.
It's 225, but maybe 2.25. Just do the fraction.
I'm stuck there.
So where'd you get the
Okay,
1/4
so
again?
Kendra, did that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
Who
Okay.
cares?
So I have 3 times 9/4. I can't reduce it.
Negative
So that's
27
27 over 4.
Yeah.
So this 7 is going to be 28 over 4. So
Uh-huh.
28 minus 27 is 1.
exactly what I put.
And the vertex would be what?
3 over 2, and then.
I don't know why I did that.
Well,
3 over 2 and 1/4. The axis of symmetry would be what?
X equals 3 over 2.
X equals 3 over 2. Make sure you write it as an equation. Min or max?
It's got a min.
Min because it opens what? Up. So min at x equals what?
X equals
3 over 2. Domain is our real, so what's your range?
Greater than.
Greater than because it's going up, right? And then where do I get my number?
From the,
From the
yeah,
vertex.
that thing.
X, y intercept is what?
7, 0, 7.
0, 7. Now, this thing, that's a horrible 7. This thing, the vertex goes to 3/4, 1/4. So it goes right and up and opens up. Is it going to have an x-intercept?
No.
No. So I don't even have to find it, do I?
Yeah, was
And I
trying to
can just
find it,
sketch
and it
what
had
I have.
Wait, what do you mean by that again?
The vertex does this. From 0, 0, it's going right 1.5 and up 1/4, and it opens up. So it's not going to have an x-intercept.
That's 3 over 2, not 1.5.
3 over 2 is 1.5. Yes?
Yeah.
Guys,
Oh,
when you
yeah,
see
we
when
did.
you see 3 over 2, should you know that's 1/2? When you see 5 halves, should you know that's 2 1/2? Yes. It's easier to work with 5 halves than 2.5 though. So that's why we work with 5 halves. Okay, so next one.
Fractions just look like. But no, that's the most.
No, they don't.
That's-
If you really think about it, I would rather, like, the other one was 5 halves, or whatever it was. Like, 5 halves. I would rather square 5 and square 2 than square 25.
Why? 25 is fine.
No.
25.
2.5 squared is 625. Actually, it's 6.25. 25 squared is
And then you need to
625.
work on like your perfect squares and square roots.
Yeah, you guys should know. I do expect you to be able to know or to find really quick 1 to 25 squared.
1 to 25?
1, 4, 9, 16.
Kale,
Sorry,
shut up.
I had-
We probably, geometry has those quizzes. You guys should have it.
625 is where we end up.
36.
Isn't 13 169?
Yeah, and 14's 196.
And then 225.
And 15's 225.
I think I could probably get like.
I struggle with
12 is
16, 17, 18,
144.
usually a little bit.
259.
At 21 is 441.
Yeah.
21 is
You
441.
act like I'm gonna retain this knowledge that
Well,
you're
Act
just
like I
spitting out
would
right now.
remember this.
Well, when I start having quizzes,
25 is 625.
Well, don't.
I'm gonna.
I will
I
fail
learned that in
this.
first grade.
15 is
I
225.
actually did.
I would
remember.
fail.
Okay,
20.
guys, have you got this done?
24.
Me too.
You just get.
Okay, I think we will start having squares and cubes because it does help. Because when I'm in a problem and I need to square 17, it'd be really nice to know that it is 2.
No.
It would.
Ends in
but
a 9.
I just don't know it.
But I know, so if we
249.
start, no, it's not 239.
I said 249.
Oh, no, it's not.
Are you
It's
sure?
289. It's 289.
Does
17
this one
squared is
give no
289.
fraction too?
Oh, it's halfway there.
What?
Does this one give no
It's-
fraction?
I don't know. You guys aren't working it. You're
I am.
It doesn't have a fraction.
Oh, it doesn't?
No.
Okay, Austin, stop. Now. What? Finish the problem.
What did I do wrong?
You were making some random noise.
That was back there.
That was back there.
Yeah.
Okay, then whoever, stop. Finish the problem.
I got a partial where
Did you get done?
I got it.
For you.
I got it to where.
I'm dealing with these guys.
What did we even do wrong? We're not distracting anybody. We're distracting ourselves. That's it.
No, you were distracting everybody in the room.
Well, I'm kind
Everyone.
of.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes, I got
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, but yeah.
Yeah,
The vertex.
that's
No, this
right.
time I mean it. Three.
Callie, is that what you got?
Those are a fraction.
Yeah. It's what I got, except I put 6 over 2 instead of 3. 'Cause
Oh.
I was just like.
Okay, so what's my vertex?
3 over 3 and 9.
-3, -9. Why is it -3?
Because it's
Because the H is always the opposite.
H is always up. Axis of symmetry.
X equals negative 3.
Min or max?
Min.
Min. How do I know?
Positive co.
It opens up, right?
Whatever.
X equals
Negative 3.
range.
And
Real numbers.
y equals y is such that y is greater than
Negative 9.
negative.
9.
And domain?
Domain is already.
Or-
Real numbers. Y-intercept?
Positive 9.
It's +9.
0, 9.
And it's probably going to have some x-intercepts, right?
Probably.
Those are going to be fractions, I bet. Okay, so it'd be 9 halves. So the square root of 9 halves. So square root of, so 3 square root of 2 over 2
Oh, hold on. Where'd you get
plus
that?
or minus. So it's going to be -3 plus or minus 3 square root of 2 over 2 would be my x-intercept.
Hold on. Where'd you get that?
I added 9 divided by 2.
Wait, what's
Oh,
the
yeah.
other stuff?
I just did it quick.
That's it.
I added 9 divided by 2. And then I took the square root of both. And so I'd have 3 over the square root of 2.
Where'd you
And then
get
I had to rationalize, so it's 9 square root of 2 over 2.
that? How'd you get the negative?
And then I subtracted over the -3. Subtracted over the 3.
So that was the next figure.
What?
That's the negative 3.
Now, I know I did that quick, and I don't ever expect you guys to do that quick. I was just trying to get it up there.
Let's just make it